Hey guys, what is up? It is Stereo Tenon here today, and I am finally going to finish this series. After this, I don't know if I'm going to be making any more videos. That's just a quick heads up. If I will, they're probably going to be mostly back to the basics videos. They're going to be for new players. If there's anything that I could do, you know, just let me know. Just anybody let me know. But until then, yeah, this is probably going to be it for a while. So let's get into level 3. This is honestly probably the... I don't know if it's the most important or the least important. It's like kind of a toss-up because it is such a short period of time in the game. But yeah, just a quick overview. Like always, we're going to do key goals at the level, currently important card profiles, history. If you're looking at older decks, this is honestly, if it's a really old deck, this is where it is completely trash most of the time. Some common problems, and then the possible future, and I do not like the future of level 3. I do not like level 3 or anything that happens here. But key goals of level 3. You either heal to survive another turn. Like, if it can't be played early, by the way, it's probably too inflexible. If you're playing a healer, you want to have the flexibility to heal it too, and to prevent yourself like just eating 8 or 9 like eating 7 damage and just dying in a bad situation, or to end the game. Like really, that's about the only two things that you're trying to do at level 3. But when you're choosing your level 3 lineup, you might want to have cards that come out at level 2 and apply pressure. Like those are also okay to choose, because at level 3 it's such a short period of time that like just having a wall or like a big card on the board at 3 is completely worthless. But yeah, so important card profiles. There's a lot of them, and they all kind of do the same thing. Like they only do like 2 unique things. Actually 3 unique things, kind of. So first, we have early plays. Most of the time, there's a heal tied to these. They come out, they usually have a stat line of close to a 10-5 to 12k. Sometimes they're like a 10k and then they can give 4k power. Those are usually wall ones. They sometimes are tied to heals. And the good thing about these is they just come out at 2. And then you get the 2 soul from them, and you get to just start putting pressure on your opponent. Or they can heal you, like I said, which would let you stay at 2 longer, or give you a bigger buffer against like stronger finishers. Cancel Burn is another popular one. Like it punishes compressed decks by not getting burns on attacks, but only getting burns in the case where you cancel. So like if you're really compressed, they get more instances of damage, and they're usually cheaper than normal burns because they only proc when you cancel, right? So they're discounted because of that. Clock Shooter. These need reverses. These are actually not very good. But the fact that a lot of Clock Shooters now can be used on the opponent's turn means that you just like put one down with a support behind it. Like I said, there are supports too at level 3 that have strong effects tied to them. But if you put a Clock Shooter out there and you have like some like supports to make it big, suddenly it's like almost a viable wall because you can like kill them on their turn just by applying pressure that way. Restanders are kind of susceptible to a lot of things, like getting rested, like rest counters, anti-damaged. If you anti-damage a restander, it just like loses soul. Soul triggers themselves are really bad for restanders because a restander gets to attack again, and if your opponent has like no board, for instance, and you use a restander that's like tied to a climax combo like Serval, the restander will actually end up going from like, so it's 2 soul. You get a 3rd soul from just attacking into an open slot, a 4th soul from the climax. This is before any triggers. That 2nd attack will be for 5. I don't have to tell you that 5 is favored to be cancelled almost all the time at level 3. So restanders have a lot of issues, making them not the best option. But they are an option. They're not a terrible option, but they have a lot more outs than like some of the other things. Like Cancel Burn can be anti-damage, but it can't be like rest countered as easy, right? You've got on play or on attack burns. These are good because rest counters, anti-damage, none of those effects actually stop them, right? They get to apply pressure without any ability from the opponent to retaliate. Then you've also got Come and Play, Top Check X. It's like if you have X amount of characters on board, you can check that many usually. And then you get to add a card you find there to the hand. These are, I don't know what people I think they call them cantrips. I believe that's a Magic term. I don't play Magic. These effects are good because it allows you to get your finishing combos. Because a lot of these effects, like cancel burns or restanders or on attack burns, are tied to climaxes. And you don't want to be holding a climax going into your refresh. It's not ideal. I mean, if it's your end game, you can. But if you have the option to slam down a single card for 2 stock and then look at the top 5 and then get it that way, that is a very valid way to get the cards that you need. And like I said, supports are very niche at level 3 because it's just too late. Like building a board at that point doesn't matter. The only one I can really think of at the moment off the top of my head is the Asuna. That's played in Sword Art, but that's like, you bring it out with Standby, it gives 2k to the front, and it allows you to memory shoot anything. And I think the main reason that's played is because it's played in the Switch build, which allows you to kind of like restand, like where the cards from your back row move to the front. So like I said, it's kind of like a restand. But most supports aren't relevant, so you can kind of ignore that one, but with Standby, like I said, they might become relevant in the future. Anyway, let's take a look at the history of what happened with level 3 over time. It used to be, like, you had level 3s that absolute garbage if you look at old sets. There's not much that they did. They just healed, like that's all they could really do. And then, now, level 3 is way before my time. Like, the really bad, to put a note, as a competitive player, I started collecting cards in 2012. But as a competitive player, I didn't even start until, like, around 2 Lavru dropped. But I know that, like, looking at older sets, they started to get things like, these like level 3 supports. I don't know if those were relevant, like Hanakawa and Bake Monogatari. And I know that like older sets don't really have those. But I do know is that the Heal Forever meta was broken as Kantai came out and Kill a Kill, and cards, you started to get anti-heal, which punished players for healing. Like if you healed, you had to like use extra stock. So this like sit there and heal forever kind of started to get pushed out. But then on top of that, they added things like Musashi, which is a cancel burn. It's like when you cancel, they get to reveal top, or reveal or mill, it doesn't matter which one. And they get to burn you for that level of the card +1, so it's always a guaranteed 1, and it can even be up to 4. As finishers like that came out, and then like Yami, it's like, what, you can't heal enough to like live through that. So having heal as the sole focus of your deck disappeared. And then we eventually got things like Marika, and that was Marika was a restander that also burned on attack, which is absolutely horrendous. So you get the burn, you attack, you stand again, you get a burn on attack, and then you get the attack again. So you get 4 instances of damage off of 1 card. Fuka over here on the right is a Vivid Strike card. Every time she attacks, she gets a marker, and she gains 1500 power for each marker. And then you can pay 2 whenever you decide that you have enough markers to kill them. And every single marker under her goes to the grave, and you burn for 1 for each one. She comes out at 2, so you get to sit on her for like 2 to 3 turns. Like I said, finishers have gotten strong, and they've been able to apply more and more pressure as the game has gone on. And it's become a lot more integral to the game to play around finishers. And some of them you almost can't play around, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but first I want to address some common problems you're going to have with level 3. With some decks, you might not have a level 3 at all. Like, you'll just get to level 2 and like 2-6, you'll be level locked at like 2-5. You'll get to 2-6, you'll think, I can live a turn, and your opponent's level 3 game will kill you. There's a lot of sets, like even if you feel like you're favored, there's a lot of sets that can just push out so many instances of damage that 8 or 9 damage is not unreasonable for you to just eat. I've been playing quite a bit against like SAO Switch recently, and just the fact that they can get so many attacks off, and they're all for like 3 to 4. It's like eventually you just start to eat the 3 to 4. Sometimes you get to level 3 and like everything that's come before, 0 through 2, you've just gotten bullied in some way, and you just don't have the resources anymore. Like, you don't have the stock for some reason, you don't have the hand. I don't like, because okay, not having level 3 you can't do anything about it. Resource Starve, most of the time that you get to that, it's usually best to almost abandon your level 3 for a bit. Like, if it depends on how resource starved you are. If you can hold the level 3 for a turn and then just like slam up some weenies and crash, as long as you've kind of manipulated your deck and you're not just like in a terrible position, not having a board at level 3 is okay. Because you should be favored to cancel against most things. And you're also denying your opponent reverses when you do that. But then sometimes you just eat 4 and die. I mean, if that's happening, you're going to eat 4 and die regardless of what you're playing against, right? Missing climax combos, like I said, most things are tied to a climax combo. Sometimes you make the decision that like your compression isn't quite where you want it. So you get to like, you're about to refresh and you pitch the climax, and then you get there, you need to dig harder. Yeah. Sometimes you just go off too early, use all of your resources, and then your opponent doesn't die, and then you lose. It's kind of like what happened at Worlds to poor Christian. He went off. Well, I mean, I don't think he really had an option, but he went off, and then his opponent didn't die, and then he just got punished for it. Sometimes you're just denied reverses at level. I'd say the best thing about going off early is just generally, if they have more than 5 health, don't go all in on a finishing combo. They might cancel, and then you'll just be resource starved at that point. Sometimes you're denied reverses. If your end game is like reverses, they can just crash board and not leave you anything, or they could just wall up, and then you don't get to actually kill them. Like, your cards are basically vanilla 2 stock, 2 souls. So yeah, watch out for that. I mean, there's not really much you can do if they're playing around it, but just know that you can also play around their stuff the same way. Possible future, I hate level 3 so much, because as time has gone on, it's like things like denying your opponent the ability to like kill you reliably by like leaving a board open has become less and less possible. Like, there's just like so many different card profiles out there now to punish such plays. Like, we have over here this Darkness I just read. Because Kimono Friends has anti-burn one, and it's not a relevant set, they've decided to print this Darkness that has cancel burn for 2. For no reason, it's just got like a plain cancel burn for 2, because it burns for 2, so it gets past Kaban, who stops burns for 1. This is the way that they're kind of doing it. They're making the numbers line up a lot nicer with the math, so that you just die as soon as your opponent's level 3. Things like Sinon used to be popular, where it burned for 4, because it just was an extra instance of damage. But why burn for 4? You can have just like 3 cards, swing for 2, burn 2, swing for 2, burn 2. Like, in the future, we're gonna have a hexproof Marika for 1 stock, Like it's gonna be a 2-stock to play. It's gonna heal. It's gonna restand, and it's gonna burn for 2 on each attack. No, that's kind of a shit post, but you get the idea. The finishers will probably only get stronger, and you're gonna have to do more to prevent your opponent from even getting to level 3. Like you're gonna want to treat level 3 like you treat getting to level 1. Like you want to be the first person to hit that, because the numbers are gonna keep lining up more and more with just like very unfavored for someone to live. But yeah, that's it for this video. I don't know if there'll be another one. Like I said, leave a comment down below if you think that I should do another video, and if you think there's something that I should cover. But until next time, this is Seriotenin signing out.